So Dr. Wolf recently did a video where he replied to Sawtooth Wave's recent video he did over the weekend, asking about the whereabouts of the Windigos. And both did a very good job in theorizing and speculating, as to what they believed was the status of the Windigos and why we didn't see them in a new generation, the MLPG5 movie, which launches us into Generation 5 officially, which gets its series next year, as before that a follow-up special to tie into it. But again, like I said, both did a very good job in theorizing and speculating from their point of view as to why we didn't see the Windigos. One of the reasons, according to both, mostly Dr. Wolf, was because of something we had seen in the Equestria Girls special, Forgotten Friendship. That something was the Memory Stone. Now, in Forgotten Friendship, we find out that Wallflower, that's her name, Wallflower, feeling kind of insecure, isolated, and ignored, and basically invisible, found the Memory Stone, learned how to use it, and was able to erase the memories from all the students, including the Humane 7 of, Sunset Shimmer's kindness and her redemption and all that. And Sunset at first was kind of thrown off by this until she went back to Equestria, and along with Twilight, Celestia, and Luna's help, was able to figure out exactly what may be the cause to the entire situation. Now, the reason Dr. Wolf, and I think to an extent Sawtooth, brought this up is because it would explain why the pony races were not getting along in the movie, and why, because of that, we weren't seeing any Windigos. But the question is, who exactly caused this to happen? Who brought the Memory Stone, back, or who created a new Memory Stone, since the original one was destroyed in Forgotten Friendship? Who was basically responsible for all this? Hopefully we get all questions answered in the series, like Dr. Wolf is hoping we will next year. But there might be another reason as to why we didn't see the Windigos at all, even with the help of a new Memory Stone causing all the pony races to forget how they got along together in the past. There might be another reason, and I think you might agree with this reason being as to why we legitimately don't see the Windigos no matter what the scenario. And the reason we don't see the Windigos no matter what the scenario is because when you go back to the ending of the end, when Twilight is infused with the powers by the pillars, her friends, and the Student Six, past, present, and future of, the elements of friendship, when she's infused with it, one of the first things she does with the power is she's able to clear the skies of the winter storm that summoned the Windigos, back in the first place when the dissension was happening in the ending of the end. A dissension that was caused by the villainous trio, who believed by basically causing this dissension, it would make it easy for them to conquer all of Equestria and separate the lands, equally for them to conquer over. However, they didn't plan on basically the true power of friendship, breaking through and foiling the plans. But it was because of them doing this and causing that distrust between the pony races that basically allowed that winter storm to come forward, as well as allow the Windigos to show up. But like I said, it was at the end of that climax, it was the end of the climactic battle, that basically the Windigos, thanks to Twilight's combined power that she got, thanks to the infusement from her friends, the Pillars, and the Student Six, that destroyed the Windigos along with clearing the sky, basically ridding, Equestria of the winter storm that brought those Windigos forward. So honestly, if I was to look at the fact as to why we don't see the Windigos in G5, no matter what the scenario, Memory Stone or not, the reason we don't see them is because they don't exist anymore, thanks to what Twilight and her friends did in the ending of the end. I know that sounded a little convoluted, a little ramble-ish, and I do apologize, but the point is, when you really think about it, what Dr. Wolf and Sawtooth do bring up about the Memory Stone kind of does make sense. I mean, whoever recreated the memory stone, or maybe fixed the memory stone, or whatever the case may be, it would make sense for that individual to use it to make all the pony tribes forget about the peaceful times they had together. However, even if that wasn't the case and it was something else entirely, there is a good chance that the Windigos could have shown up. But the reason they didn't, either way you look at it, the reason they didn't, again, is because of the fact that, which no one is pointing out, it's the fact that basically they were destroyed. I mean, when you think about it and you look back at the history of how the pony tribes got along, how they first distrusted each other and all that, and then how they got along and stuff like that, when you look back at that history, there were only 3 Windigos when they first talked about the history of how the pony tribes got together. And we saw 3 Windigos again in the ending of the end. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you, honestly? That tells you that those Windigos we saw when they did a reenactment of how Equestria came to be and the uniting of all the pony races under, under one rule, under one regime, kingdom, whatever you want to call it. Those same Windigos, those are the same ones we've seen in Ending of the End. So basically, when you think about it, when Twilight, like I said, was infused with the power, she destroyed the Windigos along with, clearing the sky and basically removing the power of Grogar's power out, or extracting, I should say, removing and extracting the power of Grogar's power out of the villainous trio, reducing them back to what they were previously. So overall, when you really think about it, yes, what we see in New Generation should make a lot of sense as to Windigos showing up, no matter what the scenario. Whether it's hatred, distrust, whatever the case may be, there should be a Windigo here and there. But the reason we don't see them is because of what Twilight did in the Ending of the End. That is the truth. That is a fact. And when you get down to it, even if something like a new memory stone was utilized to make them forget about the peaceful times they had together, even with that being incorporated in some capacity, the distrust that the forgetfulness would cause between the tribes, that would still be enough for the Windigos to show up. However, they don't. And the reason being is because of the fact that they were destroyed. They were taken out once and for all. Because like I said, when they looked back at the history of Equestria, they did the kind of the reenactment for Heartswarming Eve in season 1, I think season 2, right? When they did that, they basically only showed 3 Windigos. And what did we get here in the Ending of the End? 3 Windigos. And that was it. So in the long run, when you really think about it, like I said, Dr. Wolf and Sawtooth bring up some very good points. And I do agree. I do agree that the Memory Stone might play a significant role in some capacity, or some kind of artifact very similar to it. Might have played a role in the dissension of the pony tribes, not trusting each other. And we'll probably get an answer to that in the series, because you can't tell me they're not going to have Sunny want to know more about as to why, I should say, the tribe separated in the first place when everything was fine originally many moons before. But as far as the Windigos go, I'm not saying that them being involved wouldn't happen in the future. I'm not saying it won't. But the thing is, if they were involved, we would have saw something touched upon in the movie about that. Like when the main 5 are basically traveling and all that to get the answers they seek. Whatever area that could have been the coldest that they were traveling through, you'd think we would see a Windigo, but we didn't. And in my opinion, that's because in the Ending of the End, the Windigos were destroyed. So that's why you don't see them. Again, I'm not ruling out the possibilities we won't see Windigos in the future for Generation 5. That's still a possibility. But as of right now, I don't see that happening. And I also basically feel that the reason we didn't see them in the movie is because of the fact that it wasn't just possibly a memory stone being involved with the pony tribes forgetting about getting along like they used to in the past. The reason we didn't see them in the movie is because in the ending of the end, they were destroyed. They were destroyed thanks to the infusement of power that Twilight got from the pillars, her friends, and the Student Six. Like I said, I know it sounded like I rambled a little bit and didn't make any sense, but again, this is what happens when you do on-screen videos and audio videos unscripted and on the fly. You kind of think about what you're going to say off the top of your head while you're doing it. But anyway, though, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. You agree with what Dr. Wolf and Sawtooth have said about the Windigos and one of the other possible reasons why the pony tribe separated? Do you agree with them on their theories and speculations? Or do you think there is some truth to what I had to say about the fact that the reason we didn't see the Windigos is because they're no more, but there is a strong possibility that supports Dr. Wolf and Sawtooth's theory about the Memory Stone? Let me know what your thoughts are down below, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, check out my Teespring store, as well as check me out at patreon.com/bwrosas. Check me out at BW Rosas Discussions on all your favorite podcast locations except for Pandora, as well as check me out at BW Rosas on Vimeo as well. Would really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, take care, God bless, and I'll talk to y'all later.